You're watching Inside Automotive with Jim Fitzpatrick.
In 2023, Sonic Automotive, one of the nation's largest automotive retailers, saw an all-time record annual revenue, $14.4 billion, despite some of their challenges like the closing of Northwest Motorsport's locations. Joining us today to take a look at the full-year earnings numbers and talk all about the car business in general and what Sonic is up to these days is the president of Sonic Automotive, Mr. Jeff Dyke. You've seen him here before on CBT News. Jeff, thank you so much for taking the time out of your schedule to join us once again here at CBT.
Jim, it's always a pleasure. Thanks for having us today.
Sure. It's been a while since I caught up with you. So let's talk a little bit about the overall earnings for Sonic Automotive. Rose, of course, over the course of 2023, I should say. So talk to us about that.
Look, 2023 is our third best year ever from a profit perspective. Not what 21 and 22 were, but it's what we expected. We beat our internal targets. Margins are dropping off on new cars as the whole industry is experiencing, driven by manufacturers overproducing new car inventory at this point in time, depending on what manufacturer it is. But still a really good, healthy year across all revenue generation areas of our business. So from the new car side, the franchise side, to EchoPark really came on strong at the end of the year, and we're off to a fantastic start in the first quarter of this year. And our power sports business is beginning to grow as we learn how to manage that business. Overall, just a great year. And we expect to have another fantastic year in 24.
Sure. So a little bit to unpack there, and congratulations on all the great news. Let's talk about EchoPark. You had closed some locations. Are those reopening, or what's the plan with those?
Yeah, so as you heard, and mentioned earlier, we closed the Northwest Motorsport stores, which were part of the EchoPark platform. We did that. That's kind of the northwest part of the country. Honestly, that platform focused on trucks. And we were upfitting those trucks and making really great margin and selling a lot during the pandemic and really 17, 18, 19. But that really all went away. It caught more expensive to upfit the vehicles. The stores were just not performing at the level that we wanted. And they were taking a lot of time and energy. We closed those stores. Subsequently, we'll sell off those properties and put 100% of our focus, particularly on the EchoPark brand from our used car team. And that's obviously making a big difference in the performance of EchoPark. As you saw in the fourth quarter, we're getting closer and closer to EBIT break even. We reiterated that in the first quarter, we would be EBITDA break even for the first quarter and for the year or better. And we're on track to do that. Well on our way.
Sure. Any plans to open up more EchoPark locations in 2024?
Not in 2024. I really would like to see what happens with the used vehicle inventory. The inventories are getting better by the week, which is great. Prices are dropping. During the pandemic, we're buying cars at auction for over $30,000. Today, that number is in the mid $23,000 range. Really would like to see that drop another couple of thousand. I still think we've got 18 to 24 months of bumpy water, not as rough as it has been. But if we're going to open store, it's not going to happen in 24, maybe 25. We start looking at some of the sites that we closed or other markets. But we're just going to pay real close attention to what's going on in the used vehicle market and then execute at a really high level with the 17 locations that we have today that are specifically EchoPark.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And
of course, one other thing I would add to that, Jim, is that those 17 stores are selling more cars than we were selling when we had 48 stores.
Really?
And that was the whole point. We could buy enough cars through our buying system to support that many stores. We just couldn't do it. The inventory was just not there, in particular in the 4-year-old category of vehicle in order to support so many stores. So by cutting back, slowing down, and focusing on executing our buy plan, that's just made a huge difference. And you saw the results, like I said, coming out of the fourth quarter, and you really see great results in the first.
Right, right. And in terms of used cars being available out there, the analysts that I talked to have said that, the leasing took a big hit with used cars that are available because we didn't see as much leasing over the course of the last 3 or 4 years since COVID. It dropped substantially, as you know. Are cars readily available for you on the used car side?
There's enough cars to support the amount of stores that we have today. If I had to tell you, if we had double the amount of stores, it'd be a lot more difficult.
Yeah.
Leasing needs to come back, which it is coming back. The rental car companies needed to get out of the auction lanes and stop buying pre-owned cars and start buying new cars from the manufacturer. That's happening.
Yeah.
And so the business is getting healthier. And as the business continues to get healthier, we're going to get healthier, and then we'll start opening stores and getting back on our focus of having 90% of the country covered by the EchoPark brand.
Sure, sure. Talk to us a little bit about the new car stores. How are they doing in terms of inventory, gross profits? I know obviously because of the increase in inventory over the last year or so, gross profits have been hit, right?
Yeah, significantly. So the best way to look at it from our perspective is when you went into COVID, we were running all in company wide on the new car side about $2,000, $2,100 on the front end. That went all the way up to $6,000 during COVID. Coming out of COVID, we think that that's going to kind of normalize in the $3,000 range. So it doesn't go all the way back to where we were pre-COVID. But that's also heavily dependent on what the manufacturer does in terms of new car day supply.
Yeah.
And some manufacturers out there now are well over where they were pre-COVID, north of 100-day supply of inventory across the entire country. Some other manufacturers are doing a much better job at managing day supply, but everybody's day supply is ticking up. And this is something as a retail community that we all need to watch very closely and keep the pressure on the manufacturers. The only thing that could mess this all up that was going so well was a manufacturer to overproduce inventory.
Right.
And unfortunately, across some manufacturers, we're beginning to see that. And that's just not good for the industry at all.
Yeah.
Discounts are coming back. All inventories are growing. But what it is good for is the pre-owned business. And that is great. And it's kind of an offset for us, or a hedge, if you will, with EchoPark. So that makes a big difference there. So while we might suffer on one side from a new car gross perspective, we gain on the other from an EchoPark perspective.
Sure, sure. The industry, it seems from the OEM side, just wants to get back to that 17 million SAR, and they will do anything they need to do to get there, regardless of lessons learned through COVID and gross profits realized by the dealers. And it's like, get out of the way. We need to get back to 17, right? It's crazy.
Yeah, and I think it's crazy. I think if you added up all of the targets for all the manufacturers, they're thinking that it's going to be a 20 million SAR, and which is just insane.
Yeah.
And the thing that is important here is for our manufacturer partners to focus on new car day supply. That's where we're all going to win. And it's going to stop the need for crazy incentives. And you're really seeing that now because you got to take the new car inventory and break it down into ICE and combustion engine and then electric vehicle. And the electric vehicle day supply, depending on the manufacturer, is just crazy. And there's not margin being made, not anywhere near where it should be.
Yeah.
So we're losing money selling electric cars. It's causing day supply issues. And with all the leases that have happened in electric vehicles, 95% of them are leased at either 12 months, 24 months, or 36. These leases are going to start coming back this summer. And so we have no idea what the residual value issue is going to be on the electric vehicle.
Right.
And that's a big problem that we're watching very closely.
Yeah.
What that's going to do to the pre-owned market, what it does to new car day supply. It's
Sure.
it's a bit of a quagmire right now. And something to pay a whole lot of attention to as we move into the middle of the summer and towards the fourth quarter of this year.
Yeah, we saw Hertz a couple of months ago just release Teslas for $15,000 to $20,000 a car. I mean, it was just
right.
That just hurts the entire market, right?
It does, and if you've got a car that's out there that, say, making up numbers, it was a $100,000 electric vehicle, and you're having to discount that electric vehicle $25,000 or $30,000 to get the customer a payment that they're willing to pay to drive the vehicle,
right? And
that car comes back 12 months later, we have no idea what the residual value is going to be. And is it a $3,000 or $4,000 hit, or is it a $20,000 hit?
Sure,
that's yet to be found out. and something that we all need to watch very, very closely as we move throughout the rest of this year, as I said.
Are your buyers, when they go out to buy used cars for the lots, do they buy EVs, or do they pretty much stay away from them and say that's?
Yeah, a little bit. We more trade for them versus going out and buy. With Hertz, sure, we probably picked up some of the Teslas because there is a demand for electric vehicles, but it's a small demand.
Yeah.
So we'll fill the hole. The idea here is to put the inventory on the lot that the customer actually wants to buy,
Right.
and not inventory on the lot that you're trying to force them to buy.
Sure.
And that's key critical for all of us to understand, and in particular our manufacturer partners.
For the OEM executives that are watching this broadcast today, and I happen to know firsthand that there's a whole bunch of them watching, what's your message to them? I mean, obviously you're the president of a very large auto group there, and you've got a pile of EVs, and what message do you want to send to them?
Look, at the end of the day, it's a message that I send to them every day. And I've been very boisterous about this, or loud about it. But we've got to manage our day supply. I think we need to look at inventory in two buckets, one ICE, one electric. And we don't need to overproduce. And that's something that I think we learned a great lesson during COVID. And we need to take that lesson and use it and go forward with it, and not go back to the days of having 70, 80, 100, some manufacturers out there, 120-day supply of product on the ground right now is insane.
Yeah.
And it's just not healthy for the business. And we've proven that, and we've proven we can sell just as many cars, have the SAR where it needs to be, with a whole lot less inventory on the ground. So why do you have to go through that? It's just not the right way to run the industry.
Right.
And I will continue to give that message and be loud about that from here on out, as I know a lot of my counterparts are doing the same.
Yeah, no question about it. Hey, you've had on a side note here, you've had a change in your C-suites there with your CMO retiring, Rachel Richards. She's done a phenomenal job in the industry, and talk to us about that.
Yeah, so Rachel and I have been working together now at Sonic Automotive for 18 years or so.
Wow.
And she's just an amazing individual.
Yeah.
She's done so many things at Sonic. She helped lead our Women in Leadership program. She's done a fantastic job managing our marketing and our marketing spend, got all that under control. And we will miss her. But as with everybody, at some point in time, you want to retire and go do something else.
That's right.
She's going to retire on May 1st. But we'll hang out for the remainder of the year in a advisory role to help the transition. And then Dino Bernacchi, who is our Chief Marketing Officer for EchoPark, will now become the Chief Marketing Officer for the entire company, including Power Sports. And we're very excited about him taking over. Rachel's excited. She played a big role in helping us make that decision.
Sure.
So yep, we're having some changing of the guard. We're prepared for it. We have great succession plans in place, and we wish her the very best of luck. Absolutely adore her.
Yeah.
And we're very excited about having Dino take over the role.
That's great. That's great. On that note of marketing, dealers obviously didn't spend as much in marketing during 2021, 2022. It started to ramp up in 2023. Is it back in terms of the spending per unit now that it was in 2019, or where does that fall in the group?
Yeah, it's not back to that level, and hopefully it will never, go back to that level.
Right.
I think compared to COVID, we were spending somewhere net advertising spent per car in the $200 range at the franchise stores. That number is somewhere in the 150 range at this point in time.
Okay.
But it got as low as $113, $14. And look, it's, going to get more competitive when there's more inventory out there. That's another thing that having too much inventory causes. It makes you spend more money because everybody's trying to move as much inventory in our new turn and earn world as they possibly can so they can continue to earn inventory. And that's another expense that we all have to watch and watch closely, or it will too also get out of control.
No question about it. Last question. Any acquisitions on the new car side in 2024?
I mean, look, there's a lot more deals that are out there than I've seen in a while. They keep coming across the desk. That's also on the power sports side. We're seeing it pretty much everywhere, but the multiples are still high. People are still remembering valuing off of the back half of 2021, 22, and the first half of 23.
Right.
We're obviously not going to buy deals at those kind of levels. But yeah, we're working on a few. We'll see what happens. They've really got to match, what our plans are and what we're trying to do in returning, value to our shareholders. And we'll see how things go. Wouldn't surprise me if we did a deal or two this year, and probably some more in the future.
That's great. You want to make any big announcements on CBT?
Not
yet,
today.
right? Can't
Not
get you
yet.
to do that. President of Sonic Automotive and friend of CBT right here. So Jeff Dyke, thank you so much. Really appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to join us. It's always great catching up with you. Congratulations on all the success there at Sonic Automotive. We've all been watching, and you guys are doing great work. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Jim. It's always a pleasure to be here, and we'll see you next time.
Great, thanks.
Thanks for watching Inside Automotive with Jim Fitzpatrick.